So hi everyone, thank you so much for being here and for this amazing night talking about AI and how it could help our clinical practice in oncology.
Sure. So hi everyone. So I'm Alex. I'm one of the residents. First in this talk, it'll be very brief because I think there's food maybe on the other side of this at some point. But we'll go and we'll describe, AI tools like Amanda and how we can use chatbots in our clinical experience, especially, as a nurse or as resident doctors. We'll reflect on how we can use AI in a team context in the clinic. Then we'll discuss opportunities and challenges with AI and its integration into oncology.
So why is an AI companion getting increasingly crucial in our clinical daily practice? It's because in oncology, there's more and more discovery, innovation, and new therapeutic drugs coming out on a day-to-day basis. In every single tumor site, we have different protocol, different treatment regimens coming out on a daily basis. So it does increase the burden of knowledge and the overload of information in oncology. There's also, time pressures and a lot of stress in clinics, seeing very complex patients. There's also possibility of having communication gaps between, medical teams in oncology. This is a specialty that requires a lot of multidisciplinary work. So we all have the desire for an easy, accessible tool that could help guide us and create summaries and easy frameworks to guide our clinical practice on a day-to-day basis, which is why Amanda and AI comes into play in this context. So I'll let Daphnée talk a bit more about Amanda.
Oui, bonsoir. Juste avant de continuer, je veux dire bravo Stéphanie, votre témoignage était fantastique. En tant qu'infirmière pivot, j'apprécie vraiment ce que vous avez dit. Aussi, je veux juste dire comme disclosure que Amanda, je pense qu'elle est mon amie et je l'aime beaucoup. Alors, mon anglais n'est pas fameux non plus. Alors, simple call-based assistant accessible through mobile. C'est pour ça qu'on l'aime beaucoup. On peut juste l'appeler. Qu'est-ce qu'elle peut faire? Summarize clinical guidelines and protocols. Generate patient education materials. Actually, I did use her as it because once I had to use a new medication for a patient that nothing was available for patient's care or patient symptom management follow-up, so I use for this. Generate patient education material, that's what I said. Suggest investigation or management frameworks. Draft notes, letters, or summarize, and I did use her for letters. So what can she do? And it's make autonomous decision or override clinical judgment. She still needs a human behind.
So as an oncology resident, I think having Amanda or an AI companion could be very useful in clinic. It supports our oncology workflow. We navigate and see through many different complex oncology cases on a day-to-day basis, and oftentimes when patients progress, there's a clinical decision to be made in a rapid kind of urgency. Patients need, this context of summary and critical kind of care. So AI is a really interesting tool that we could use to guide our clinical practice on a day-to-day basis. So it could create a structured framework to navigate these complex cases. It could draft kind of treatment summaries and patient education templates. Saves us time in documentation and patient education. And it could also enhance decision-making during urgent situations or when we're on call and need, some guidance through very complex and urgent situations. So I have many examples where, Amanda came into play and helped me, navigate through very difficult decisions. And I think Alex also has experience as an oncology resident with an AI companion.
So I think, especially as residents, AI has become totally inseparable from our training, for better or worse. It's the era that we live in. And when I think about AI in medical practice, I kind of think about two buckets. I think about the kind of acceptable bucket where it makes things better for patients and the world a better place, and kind of a less acceptable bucket where it actually probably takes away from our learning and detracts from patient care. I think in some of the areas in oncology where it's been really invaluable is to kind of have like a simulated tumor board where you can kind of, even before presenting a complex patient at tumor board, or for patients for which, there's no slots at tumor board, can we simulate a tumor board where we have pathology, radiology, radiation oncology, and a whole board of experts all in one go? And can we do that in real time in the clinic, even with the patient in the room. I really like that because it's kind of the nucleation point for a bunch of new ideas, and it's a place where if there's no guardrails, we're not going to make a medical error. It's really a starting point for further reading. I also like it as a way kind of to study. So if you're reading around a case, you can use Amanda or, for example, Open Evidence. Probably many of you have used Open Evidence as well, where it connects directly with New England Journal of Medicine, so it'll connect to like clinical trials that came out this past week, and it's a really good starting point for your own learning and reading around cases, and also giving you new ideas about what to do with a patient. So for those, I really love it. There's some areas where it's not so good, and I want to caution myself and my co-residents about it. I remember being an internal medicine senior resident supervising medical students, and I found that a lot of them were just writing their whole clinical notes with ChatGPT, like even GPT 3.5 with all the personal information of the patient in it. And I found that really detracted from the learning experience of the medical students and gave me a lot of pause. I think other things, mission critical things like chemo orders, in areas in which any hallucination could cause actually a major safety issue for a patient. These are not good uses for AI. So I really think it's like a great brainstorming tool, a nucleation point for our own learning, and a way to kind of broaden the ways in which we're thinking about treating patients. And then the last thing I'll just say is that obviously the world is changing, and so when we become staff and when we become senior staff, I think the whole landscape of how medicine is practiced will be fundamentally different. And so it's a good way for us to kind of think about what medicine might be like in 10 years when there's kind of less and less human input, and we have AI kind of working for and with us, and as we kind of take a step back.
En conclusion, c'est que AI serves as clinical ally, not a replacement. Okay. Aussi, promotes evidence-based, team-driven decision-making, enhances communication and education for clinical and patients alike, and exciting future ahead. Many innovation AI projects are on the horizon. Merci.